up here. This is fine. Lifelong dream to perform at Body. It's fine. I got this. All right. So, I was 24 years old the first time I left the country. And as soon as my plane touched down in Toronto, turned my cell phone on to check my text messages, and I have a text from my best friend. And it says, hey, so there's a party at the hotel tonight. My friend's bringing a backpack full of pop brownies, and I found 2 volunteers to go down on you. Cool, good, great. This is a significant text message for a couple of reasons. 1, my friends are great. And 2, up until this point, I was 24 years old and no one had gone down on me before. I know, you guys. Now, am I exaggerating a little bit? My partner or my ex had offered, volunteered, we had tried, but I don't know if you've ever had someone go down on you who seems like completely disgusted by the concept. But he would like pull his head back and stick his tongue out as far as he could and like vaguely kind of maybe touch my genitals. And anytime I tried to kind of like lean down and get more pressure or sensation, much of anything, he would like pull his head back and like look at me and tell me, you can't do that, I'm gonna drown. As if he was amazed that I was like wet, which looking back, I'm amazed I was wet, but that's an entirely different thing. But that was really kind of emblematic of our whole relationship. When I was first attracted to him, it was because he would tell me these stories of all these adventures he had been on the past and all these parties he'd gone to and the sex he'd had, and I was like, great, we met in high school, and I was like, this is my opportunity to try all the things, right, to go on all the adventures. And that didn't really happen in our relationship. The same face he made when he tried to go down on me is the face he would make anytime we tried to have sex. Anytime I would try to hold his hand or kiss him hello, I just... Slowly over the course of this 6-year-long relationship, I know. I learned that my sexuality was a burden to him, that I was something he had to take care of, that I was a chore so that I would stop whining. I know.
Look how far you've come, though.
I know. And in all that time, I was still ravenously curious about sex. I was becoming a pretty established sex blogger. I was becoming a part of the community. I was meeting a lot of people. And I would look at all of these things and hear all of these stories, and I would think, that's the kind of sex life I'm going to have when I'm out of this relationship. Those are the things I'm going to get to do one day. So now here I am, 24, about 8 months out of my relationship, and I'm in Toronto, and I have a text that says that there are 2 people volunteering to go down on me. And I'm like, cool, this is great. Later that night, I'm at the party at the hotel. It's queer prom. So, I know, because queers are great. The whole, like, hotel room, not hotel room, but, like, ballroom, is set up in, paper, like the paper streamers and the little balloons and, set up like your high school prom. Everyone's in their prom dresses and their tuxes and having a grand old time. And we're standing in a circle, and my friend Taylor brings up this thing again. He's like, so, you've never had anyone go down on you before? And I'm like, no, I haven't. And he's like, we can make that happen tonight. We can change that. And I'm like, I don't know. So he goes, no, I'm gonna go get some volunteers. And then he flounced off across the room in his like flowy, flowery dress and started recruiting people. Now, in this time, I was, like I said, I was a sex educator, as blogger, getting a part of this community, and I was familiar with the concept of like owning your desires and talking about your desires and negotiation, and that's how you make things happen, right? I was familiar with all of this in theory. This is the first time it was being put into practice in a room full of strangers all coming up to me going, hey, would you like me to go down on you later? So that's a test in owning your desires. And Taylor would bring people over and be like, what about this one? I have 2 over here. What do you think? So, like, what's your type? Who are you into? Can you give me a little bit more guidance? Because all I was capable of doing was, like, giggling and squirming and being like, oh, I don't really know. At one point, this gorgeous, tall, curvy redhead comes up to me. And she comes up and gets way up close, right at my personal space. And I'm about tit height here, so I just gotta look up, because I am a very small boy. And she looks me dead in the eye, and she goes, I swear to God, she looks at me and says, so, Taylor told me about your quest, and I just wanted to let you know that I would chew through a park bench to eat your cunt. Now I'm not really sure what I said in the moment, because it's 2 years later and I still don't have a good answer to that. But luckily, she just kind of vanished back into the party and was gone. So I'm just kind of standing here looking for like, all right, where's my next out? Where's the next maybe shred of normalcy that I can grab out of this party? And I see this cute guy over in the corner. He's wearing a rainbow bow tie, which will become relevant because it's 2 years later and I still exclusively refer to him as bow tie. And he's talking to someone who I've met already. I know this person, and I'm like, great, there's my in. I have this opportunity to go talk to this cute guy. So as I'm walking across the room, trying to figure out how I'm gonna insert myself into this conversation, I get right within earshot where I can hear what they're saying. And he's in the middle of saying, yeah, so Taylor says they've never had anyone go down on them before, and at this point, I'm too close to the conversation to kind of like do a barrel roll and vanish. So I do the only thing I can do is walk up and go, hey, my name's Bex, that story's about me. Shockingly, the rest of the conversation wasn't nearly as awkward. He actually sat me down and was the first person that night to be like, okay, but like, do you really want this? Do you really want someone to go down on you tonight? Because it can happen. We can make it happen. We have a room full of very eager queers here. And the power of queers can do anything. And he's like, but you need to own it, right? You need to go out there and you need to ask for it. You need to pick someone who you are attracted to and say, yes, I want this to happen tonight. I was like, okay, all right, I can do that, I can do this. And before I know it, the party's winding down, and Taylor comes over to me with that tall, curvy redhead from earlier, and they both kind of corner me, and they're like, hey, so there's a party upstairs afterwards in our hotel suite. Grab anyone else you're interested in and come on up. All right, cool, yeah, that sounds fun. Maybe I will come to that party. Maybe I will do that. And they go, no, the party's for you. Grab anyone else, be a good boy, and come upstairs. I don't say no to things when people call me a good boy, because I am a very good boy. So, we made my way upstairs, and when I get there, that gorgeous redhead is waiting for me with a pair of leather cuffs. And she says, in front or in back? In front? She cuffs my wrists in front of me and brings me over to these closet doors that are double paneled mirrors because this hotel was smart. And she bends me over in front of the closet doors, hands out in front of me, and says, now for everything I do to you after this, I want you to be looking at yourself. I want you to watch all of the things I'm about to do to you. Okay, yeah, sure, no, that's fine. So she starts running her hands up and down my back and my thighs. She starts spanking me a little bit, real gently, you know, just to warm up the skin, get me nice and pink. And she slides her hands up my thighs and finds, you know that part of your thigh right at the top, right next to your bits, that's like super thick and fleshy? She grabs that part of my thigh and squeezes as hard as she can. It's rather sensitive. I jumped about 10 feet up in the air and squealed, which is apparently adorable, because she did it 3 more times. She goes back to spanking me. I think she had a flogger at one point, just overwhelming me with sensation. And then she turns me around, and she takes her knuckle and runs it right up my chest, right at my sternum, right in the middle. And she grabs me by the shoulder and pushes hard with that knuckle right in the middle. And she gets nice and close, and she says, now every time that's sore for the next day, the next couple days, I want you to think back about that bitch from Winnipeg. By the way, she came from Winnipeg to go to this event. Makes more sense if you say that. And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, Sure, I'll think that bitch from Winnipeg. The thigh thing hurt more, but like, I'm sure this will bother me. But she knew what she was doing, because for days later, every time I moved, I had this nice sore spot right in the middle of the chest. Put a seatbelt on, God, that bitch from Winnipeg. Pick up my backpack, son, that bitch from Winnipeg. Doing a bench press at the gym, that bitch! Every time. But by the end of the scene, she's got me bent over in front of this mirror, and she grabs me by the hair and picks my head up, because my head's hanging at this point. I'm not watching myself anymore. I'm not watching much of anything. She picks my head up and has me look at myself in the mirror again. And she said, now the last thing I want you to do is I want you to tell yourself you're beautiful. Oof. So that's the hardest thing I had to do that night. Because I'm coming out of a relationship of 6 years where I was told my sexuality was a burden. And now I have to not only believe that she wants to be there, I have to believe that I deserve for her to want to be there. And I look in the mirror, and I mumble something completely unintelligible. And she goes, no, no, no. I want you to say it. Say you're beautiful. So I mutter something completely unintelligible again. And she says one more time, she's like, I'm gonna wait. We're gonna do this until you're ready. So I look myself in the mirror and I say, I am beautiful. And then she turns me around and has me face the room. Room full of 10 or so people, bow ties there, a couple other friends that I've got. Yeah. You know. She turns me around to face the room and she says, great, now tell them. And they're all looking at me and I swallow and I'm like, I am beautiful. And I'm pretty sure they clapped because they're queers. Oh, look, you're queer too. Then she brings me over and she lays me down on the bed, and as I'm just coming down from this awesome scene, I notice Bowtie is getting up to leave, and I'm like, but wait, makeouts though. So I get up and I at least go to give him a hug goodbye. You know, I figure I'll get something, and as I go over and I'm like, hey, you know, can I give you a hug? He puts his hand on my chest, shoves me back onto the bed, and starts making out with me. Pins my wrists over my head, grinding his thigh right between my legs, you know, the good stuff. Real good. And then gets up and has to leave. But at least I got a parting gift. And at this point, I'm already laying back on the bed in a room full of queers, and they descend. So I've got someone, you know, licking and kissing on my nipples. I've got someone's hands all over the place. I'm laying with my head in someone else's lap while they whisper filthy, filthy shit in my ears. And there is a very cute boy between my legs, kissing up my thighs and pushing my underwear out of the way, and he starts going down on me. And it's great because he wants to be there, right? He's got his face buried in my bits. He's licking and sucking and actually enjoying himself. And what was really amazing out of all of this, like, yeah, it's great having a lot of people touching you in a lot of places. And, like, oral sex is great. I don't know if I need to tell y'all. Newsflash. It's fun. And then, like, the night progressed to just across the board makeouts with everyone. There was one girl there who had so much glitter on her face that we could track who she had made out with when the lights came back up. And exactly where. It was fantastic. But the most exciting thing about that evening was sitting in this room and realizing that it didn't feel weird. I was in the middle of my first group sex experience in a country I'd never been in a room mostly full of strangers. And I felt at ease. I felt comfortable. This didn't feel like a foreign experience, right? This felt like the sex life I was supposed to have been having. And when I got up and went to leave that room at the end of the night, someone asked me if I needed help going home, and I was like, no, why would I need help going home? This is fine. And then I opened the door and got hit with the fluorescent lights of the hotel and fully realized what people meant when they said fuck drunk. Because that's a very real thing, y'all. The hotel felt like I was in a different world once I had emerged from the room. And I walked down the hallway and got into the lobby, and just had to sit down and think about the fact that for 6 years, I had spent my life wondering and saying, when this is over is when I'm gonna get to do those things. One day, I'm gonna get to live that life. And I was fucking living it. And it was great.